Good morning. My name is Paola Gonzalez. I come from Chile, and I will present you the moku-hanga and water-based woodcut in Santiago de Chile, practice and teaching. I'm teacher of art in schools, master in education, and developing the website www.xylography.cl, good code printmaker artist. This is my blog, where are my works. This is a presentation of our research in progress about non-toxic good talk techniques and moku-hanga teaching and practice in Santiago de Chile. The main questions are the following. Where is the knowledge coming from? Whom is teaching? Whom is learning? What materials are being used? Where is the knowledge being transmitted? The main place where this research is developed and are non-toxic good talk techniques at school, workshop in studios, and engraving art college classes. This research is developing both through teachers' interviews and direct observation in this same place. Well, excuse me for my pronunciation. I am Spanish speaker. The sample considers 14 classroom activities at the schools, 4 of the most important good cut downtown studios, and 3 university good cut courses. These presentations only takes on view 3 schools, 1 studios, and 1 university good cut course. All they're limited by the using non-toxic techniques. After it is a specific educational experience description practice with elementary students who applied water-based ink over MDF matrices at the school and uses their print result in a sort of a game whose aim is to strengthen the cultural learning's identity throughout my educational research. The educative project is based on a Japanese educational policy following my master's degree thesis research titled Cultural Learning and developed in the scholar community. Finally, I showed a scholar science project that hoped to test non-toxic ink based on typical Chilean raw materials in the context of the participation in a national level science fair. The context. This is a xylography of my own. This is another. This is an installation. Okay, this is Chile. This is the. It's a small and novel country located in South America, poetically called a long, narrow strip of land. In the east, there is the wonderful Andes, and in the west, we can find the Great Pacific Ocean. Therefore, it has been somewhat insulated from cultural changes, and there was also political dramatic issue. 73 military coup in recent time. It's not activity. In recent time, that has caused great social upheaval with consequence until today. in 1973, Art and Philosophy College were closed. This is evident in the artist production which, since colonial times, has been subjected to the European influence. Well, Chile was colonized by Spain, and subsequently to the United States predominance for some years. Thanks to the communication technology and internet, the knowledge has grown from more distant countries. Like Japan. Japanese culture in general has taken a strong role in different areas, especially art. But even the contents of a school and university are limited to Western knowledge. The Chilean population is about 18 million people, of whom about 8 million live in Santiago, the capital city. That is why Santiago is the center of cultural and artistic development. Outside of Santiago, it is not frequent to find University of Art or Museum of Art. That is why many people living in other cities move to live in the capital. In Santiago, there are around 10 universities that give art education. Among the most important are the Universidad de Chile, Art Degree, Universidad Metropolitana en Ciencias de la Educación, Art Education Degree and Pedagogy, Universidad Católica, Art Degree. Among them, there are very few hours dedicated to engraving. For example, La Universidad Metropolitana offers only 4 hours a week for one semester of engraving classes. The sample. These researchers approach the moku-hanga and wood-cut water-based techniques practice and teaching in Santiago de Chile through interviews to some artists or art teachers who teach the wood-cut discipline. Most of the school art teachers learned wood-cut discipline in the university using the Western mode. That implies the use of toxic transmission. Transmission to the students. This way is difficult to practice due to the characteristic of these materials. The non-toxic way is used too, but the teachers have not learned about it. So their work is usually improvised using ink for shoes, or has better option taken is watercolor, commonly on MDF surface, with which the best results are not obtained. Printing is almost always done using the wooden spoon over regular paper. Moku-hanga in studios. Moku-hanga is recently known, therefore no practice at the school. In fact, only a few workshops given by studios teachers about it are available sporadically in the city. The Chilean interviewed artist Ania Garcia offers one of the most professional ones. She learned in Santiago from Ben Sawalit, who did the same at Richard Steiner's studio in Nihon, who at the same time learned from the sensei Tokumitsu Masahiko. Anya stated that the majority of people who attend her classes were artists or teachers art. And she confirmed that the lack of knowledge about this discipline within the city, even in art universities. She made moku-hanga classes in our Fuerte Taller de Grabado, is a studio, our Fuerte etching engraving studio, localized near downtown. This is a good place for the management of engraving in which different workshops are given. This place receives visits from some artists, even international ones. Anya told about the materials that she used that can be bought in common stores. For her students, she used plywood. This is a wood like this. She used watercolor scattered with a brush over the matrix and then rubbed in with a barren. The most important thing that for her is the quality when obtained different and subtle shades, strokes, to use of different color matrices. Also the importance of using non-toxic materials. Moku-hanga at college. The regular engraving classes in Universidad Metropolitana de Ciencias de la Educación include 4 hours by week for 1 semester of etching and woodcut techniques. This is the most important university focused only on pedagogy courses of Chile. It has been a relevant woodcut center of production in the last 15 years. Through an interview to a student is demonstrated that this is only one person who is practicing and teaching an approach of moku-hanga techniques in this university. However, this workshop is out of studios plan. It is sponsored by an external project. The teacher, Gonzalo Allende, stated that he knew this technique just a few months ago. He worked on a printmaker team called Grabado Público, public engraving. This team posted on Facebook, by example, offering an approach of moku-hanga techniques workshop, and they give some advices like a fast step-by-step. Gonzalo indicated that some time ago he worked on the Western Mall, but he knew about non-toxic techniques that now he likes a lot. Later on, he knew moku-hanga and began experimenting with different materials and started to make his own inks by himself. That is why moku-hanga technique is not being taught at university. How could our teacher team at the school if they don't have the tools to do it? Allende's case seems to be very common. Moku-hanga workshops is offered as a variation in relation with the Western Mall, replacing the non-toxic materials with the water-based ink ones, but it do not represent moku-hanga process at all. In Santiago, there are just few universities that give art education, and among them there are less that give printmaking classes. In fact, the only university among the most important ones just give 4 hours of engraving in only 1 semester. The other university give elective classes in which students can choose engraving course or not. That could be a justification for most of art colleges which offer good classes, do it based on a Western mode. using toxic solvents because they don't have time to make moku-hanga classes in depth. Moku-hanga at school. In the case of the school's classroom, is the same way. Through teachers' interviews, if is explaining that the materials that they are using for the printing process, but why don't teacher use non-toxic material to print? Water techniques are not used at the school because that is not known by teachers. And just a few number of good code studios use a kind of non-toxic technique. In my own teaching good code experience, are considering the children's schools, theaters, rules, and studies programs, I can confirm that it is very hard to practice it within regular classes because there are more than 40 children in the same classroom, where the discipline is not part of the students' routine and they are not careful with materials and tools. In fact, there is very common that theft of materials. The arts are not considered as a fundamental area of knowledge. This is a country where math and language are mostly graded and some other skills, the artistic ones, are not really important. The teaching Western mode at the school does not contribute to the improvement of the good learning. The typographic ink is so dirty for students who lack care in their work. In general, schools do not have a special place to save the students' works. Besides, the tools used are very specific and expensive for them to buy. Now, the Educational Ministry is evaluating a new scholar program for visual art in the first secondary level. This represents a challenge for art teachers because it includes 16 hours of engraving art artist book, which are still unknown techniques. The experienced water-based woodcut at the school. Linking art with the cultural learning process of the students, there is an art and educational experience that There is an art and educational experience that complements the research, aprendizajes culturales y desarrollo de la comunidad escolar, cultural learning and development of the scholar community with the students' artwork. This research was based on Japanese educational policy executed in Gunma Prefecture. It was called Gunma 15. This policy covered 2,056 elementary schools, instilling 50 desirable behaviors by the community to the students. This project is being applied to around 18 students between 6 and 8 years old of the first elementary grades. The same 3 good code matrices were given to each student. One matrix corresponds to an image of kawaii character and 2 others are images of their clothes. In this activity, the children take water-based ink and they apply it over each matrix with a brush. Then each one obtains their own copies on paper. Afterwards, the students cut around the character and their clothes to generate game objects. I have here this is an example of the matrix that are did in MDF. That is not wood. This is a character principle, and that is the clothes. The children could cut them and produce her own character, like this. This is my child that is pressing. Well, the game consists of the student adapting the role of the character, which is accompanied by positive motivation relative to respect, responsibility, friendship, and solidarity. These aspects were those that the parents and the students considered more important in the development of the students and their community, according to the investigation mentioned. The experience of science project about typical Chilean reuse materials for preparing good cut inks. The scientific fair is an event involving students from different schools in the country, which shows experiments and finding of a basic chemical or physical nature. This year we are preparing a stand to present the school research that seeks to generate good cut inks produced from Chile's own raw materials. The copper tinting capacity is the first experiment to be treated this fair, and the result of the investigation done by two fifth elementary education students will be exhibited in the sample of national level during October of this year. And that's all. Thank you. A little. Very much. My presentation could be or should be at 11 o'clock. And the next one.
Who is presenting next?
Okay.
Sorry, yeah. What was it like? Was it organized by school or?
No, happened that I went to Gunma, I went to Japan, and I knew Gunma policy, Gunma 50, 50, Gunma 50. And there I knew this policy that they called to the community to do a policy, participate, and which behaviors are witches, and over it, about it, I did research for a master in education, and I did a research, and I token some specific values that the Chilean person like for her children. And I have been trying to connect the moku-hanga, that is, or moku-hanga or print, good cut print, yes, with this policy. And and I find that this is a better form to do it. A game for the children that all that is in process. That they don't cut the matrix. This is given, and they only ink it and press.
So you did this in Chile?
In Chile.
Yeah. But also happening in Gunma, or not?
In Gunma,
they do the same things, or?
It's not the same thing.
Okay.
No, in Gunma they have a little book that they pass to the children and family that they are reading all days, and say I have to be of the 50 items.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for asking. Well.
There is interest in Chile about the moku-hanga. About the people.
Moku-hanga is so unknown technique. It's so unknown technique. The schools, like I told, the university used and prepare artists and teacher of art on the Occidental way, yes.
Okay.
And moku-hanga is almost completely unknown. Yes, it's so incredible because the wood cut in Chile is important. It's very important to have a lira popular. The lira popular is a movement so important. It was very important, but moku-hanga is absolutely unknown in university and in the school. In the school, it's so hard to do xylography with toxic elements. Yes, and you need a room. You can't do it in the rooms, in the classroom. Have to do it in the space open outside. And it's so difficult. And I think the moku-hanga could be a great solution for this, especially in the case that the Ministry of Education is planning to or is evaluating a new program that includes engraving in the first grade of secondary. That is a great path, but it's important for that the teachers could prepare her knowledge about this. Yes. Thank you.
It would be nice if you can invite people from the conference, like expert of the workshop,
Yes.
to Chile. And,
yes, that will be. Yes, it could be very important because the knowledge is. The art in Chile was so stopped in a minute because, like I told you, an military war, like in 1973, and in this time the School of Art was closed until 1992, and the culture was stopped. Yes, well, it was very hard.
So you are a pioneer. You are like a pioneer.
There are studios that offers moku-hanga classes, but that I have researched through interviews to teachers or artists that give the classes. I have saw that is so primary. Oh. And the relation with the spiritual example of in the practice is inexistent. Yes. It's just the technique that because the Japanese culture is so strong too. Anime, the comics, and the food. It's most interesting, but technique, but the relationship about, between the spiritual practice and this system, I no, nothing.
Not yet.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.